The owners left their vehicles unlocked with the keys inside. They were taken from residences on North State, Richmond, and East Wayne Streets. One has since been recovered. Investigators say several other cars were left unlocked in the area, and items are reported stolen. About 3,400 Indiana Michigan Power customers were without electricity in northeast Allen County for a time. 2 substations were tripped, one near Harlan and the other near Woodburn. Crews discovered a bird had flown into a substation, which caused the outage. It affected almost all of northeast Indiana, including Harlan, Woodburn, and Spencerville. A police pursuit ends with a serious injury crash in Fort Wayne early this morning. An officer attempts to pull over a speeding car over at the intersection of Lafayette and East Breckenridge Streets in downtown. The driver flees north on Lafayette and east on Jefferson Boulevard.
Okay, guys, about 30 seconds here.
A mile away. The car demolished an electric sign on the Indiana Tech campus. Officers on scene helped the driver before medics arrived. He was taken from the scene in serious condition. Crews from multiple departments battled a large house fire on Donatello Drive in Dunphy. Dozens of tanker trucks were called to the home, which sits in a cul-de-sac. Firefighters were able to knock down most of the flames down in about an hour or so. 5 people inside, including the family dog, were able to escape without...
And 5 minutes after the hour of high noon, we get into some race talk today on the throttle, as we always do every Monday. Brought to you by Lob Auto Parts, Suburban Auto, AJ Dorr, Brian Ford, Jason Dietz Customs, Collisions, Trailers, and Trailer Repair, Fast Forward Motorsports, and Snyder Land Clearing. And with me, as always, Mr. Dwayne Hancock, who I'm sure spent the entire weekend racing somewhere, right, Dwayne?
Close. Friday and Saturday. I took yesterday off to work on my demolition derby car. The guy that owns it's been kind of yelling at me because he's got about 90% done, so it's time for me. I'm being one of the prima donna drivers this time. We talked about it last time, how some of these guys, you know, so that was me lately, so I had to go over and get dirty and sweaty.
Prima donna driver this time? That's what I'm hearing at this point in time?
Right.
Never a prima donna in the past at all?
Right.
I'm sure all the folks listening right now are buying that one right at this point in time.
Right.
No doubt about that. Hey, today we're going to talk a couple of different racing styles. We're going to actually have some motorcycle racing we're going to talk about. We're going to start with talking about a little go-kart racing right now, too.
Yeah, we're definitely on the throttle today. We got a couple guests here, and start off from State Line Speedway. We got Scott in here talking about the big kart race this weekend. I know the Midwest Race of Champions, $4,000 win for the pro clones. And then I know you have the other divisions. There's, 5 or 6 other divisions. You're paying $1,500 to win. Then even some of the other divisions, I see $750, $500 to win. I know from talking to some of the people that's racing it before, I mean, it's the biggest event in the area.
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest races in the Midwest. We'll have racers from 12 states and Canada so far confirmed. We should reach over 400 entries this year. We had 333 last year. And we're expecting well over 400 this year if the math works out correctly.
Well, and I seen, I knew this race. It actually was supposed to be in July, and it got rained out to this weekend. So some people need to know that, because I know some people already thought it was, and I was one of them, and I didn't know it got rained out to this weekend. And one thing I like is for guys like me, I see you got a extra heavy duty class, like 450 and over. I might have a chance to go over there and run.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've ran some of these kart races before, and the 350 class, I usually give up a little bit of weight to some of those guys, and I see he's got a class for guys like me and you, Jim. I mean, we should go over there and race.
Scott Longback is our guest right now. Scott, I mean, you're talking 350 and 450. Is that just the guy? I mean, I think
no, not quite. That's the cart and equipment.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We got a class that's called heavy, and then super heavy, and then extra super heavy. And the extra super heavy, the driver must weigh at least 225 pounds.
Okay. All right.
So some of us Midwest boys that enjoy eating have the opportunity to race too.
That's right.
I know Dwayne, he brags every week about all the food at the racetracks and everything. So I know he's put on a couple of pounds over the summer right now. But I didn't think he'd hit 350 quite.
Right.
Yeah, all right, I got you now.
Right.
I'm understanding the whole thing now. I got it all figured out. Well, you got rained out the first time, but it sounds like that didn't put a damper on all the folks that want to come and compete, and that says an awful lot about this race.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we may gain entries because of the delay.
Sure.
People having the opportunity to maybe save up, some money to make the long trip. We got them coming from all over the country, so it'll be an amazing race.
Yeah.
The $4,000 to win feature will be 40 laps. Last year we ran 30 laps for the feature in that class, and it went caution free.
Oh wow.
Yeah, not only is it 4,000 win, it's 1,500 for second, like 750 for third. I mean, that's huge money for go-karts. I mean, the standard go-kart race pays what, like 200, usually 200, 250 bucks to win on a given night.
Yeah.
Some of them 150, and now you're in the thousands, and that's one reason you get so. And it's real close to us. I mean, you're just a couple miles from Eden. I've been over there a few times. It's been probably about 5 years since I've been over there, but nice place, nice, right out in the open. I'm sure there's plenty of spots for camping that this weekend too.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the racetrack, Scott. When did it all started, and how did you get involved with everything?
Actually, Jim Halbert from Eden, Ohio, built the track. We started racing there. My son and I started racing there just because he raced on Friday nights. Then he leased it out for a couple of years, and then it was going to close down, or he was going to try to lease it to someone else. And I was like, can't let the racetrack end.
Sure.
So ended up buying it with a couple of partners, and then over the years it's ended up just me. I think we've had it for about 19 years now.
That's amazing. So, Dwayne, he's going back to that same story that we hear over and over and over again. It was my dad that got me started, or me and my son that are doing this. It's just it's a family affair in go-kart racing too.
It is. The go-kart community is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and they used to run 600 mini sprints over there, and I used to go over there, and we see people like Neil Shepard that used to race USAC sprints and All-Star sprints. Paige Polyak that just won a 410. First female to win in Jackson, Minnesota. She used to race over there. Cooper Klaus, which is run the Boss Series. A lot of people like that when they're was young age was over there racing and go-karts. There's plenty of them that race go-karts. I know Riley Van Heist that's racing the Boss Series now. Talked to them. He used to race go-karts over there and different people. So there's a lot of people up in sprints and late models and stuff that's ran right over there in their younger years, and go-karts are when they had mini sprints and just went up through the ranks, and so there's been a lot of people that's raced over there that we see on a weekly basis around here.
That's amazing. They just they take that step up. Scott, you were telling me the youngest racer might be 5?
We start at 5 years old in the kids class, and they're running a little bit smaller chassis than the full-size go-kart. You'll also see cage karts. There's a couple classes that are cage. They have roll cage over them. We have 2 classes of those, one for juniors, the kids drivers, and then an adult class for that. So if you're getting up in age and not real comfortable with no roll cage over your head, you have the opportunity to get into that type of go-kart racing and have a little more safety features.
I said this to you off air, and you kind of corrected me real quick. You would think racing like that with no cage, basically a helmet on, sitting on this little go-kart going 60 miles an hour, is that what you told me?
Yeah, they'll average about 60.
60
at
that
plus.
point in time, you've got a chance, especially if you drive like Dwayne. They don't let me on a track because there's no chance in the world that I'd ever make it around one time, let alone a couple. But the injury ratio, the crash ratio would be greater in this go-kart situation. You said not even a caution on a 40-lap race, and it really is a lot safer than what most people would.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I've been to several kart races, and they put on a whale of show. I mean, which I've been over the Eden they have, and just like the indoor karts at Fort Wayne, they're the fastest division. They got the USAC midgets, and they got the mini sprints, and go-karts are the fastest thing in there, and rarely do they get hurt. I mean,
it's amazing. Why?
Yeah, you're a few inches off the ground going 60 miles per hour.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, you're basically you're on the ground with these go-karts, because I think everybody's seen go-kart races somewhere.
Three quarters of an inch. If you're higher than that, you're probably slow.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're 3/4 of an inch off the ground. You're going 60 miles an hour. You got a helmet on your head, right? Obviously. You got no cage around you whatsoever. I mean, first of all, what makes them so fast? Secondly, what makes them so safe?
Well, the engine package, the horsepower to weight ratio, and the way that, you know, just people of innovation has brought the go-karting to a level that's kind of unbelievable. We're taking a 6.5 horsepower overhead valve engine now, and we're modifying it to 15 horse for what we call the stock classes.
Okay.
And you know, we're just achieving some speeds that are pretty unbelievable for that. But consider you're only pulling 360 pounds.
Sure. Okay.
Unless, of course, you're in the super ultra mega heavy
But
class.
you got a big fat guy like me behind you. Right? You understand what we're saying?
Yeah, you won't have to add weight to your car.
Yeah, no, my car. My car may be the one that we have to try to, you know, eliminate some way, or shave something off every now and then.
So, and what's amazing is even in the kids classes, then we actually put restrictor plates in, similar to NASCAR, and some of their, to keep them at a certain speed. And because we don't want to bolt all that weight on their go-kart, we control the speed of it with a restrictor plate.
Okay.
So everybody's really running very similar lap times, whether they're the kids or the adults. There's not really a whole lot of difference between the classes, and there's even times when the oldest junior class will be faster than the adults.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
That's the part that it really is amazing. And then I guess you would almost earmark there's the up-and-comers right now. When you see a kid 7 years old that's putting the fastest times on the track on a Saturday afternoon, you got to look at that kid as to what's going to happen down the road for him. Right?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And they're boys and girls racing these things.
Oh, yeah.
Nowadays. You know,
Karts has a lot of girls. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of girls race go-karts.
There's some of the junior classes last year that we actually had more girls
Yep.
really?
than boys in the class on a regular basis.
You know, we're seeing more and more of that.
Oh, yeah.
And we've had several of the female racers on with us here. And it really is fun to see these young ladies now all of a sudden taking up the mantle and getting in a car, whatever that car might be. And I would bet you, because I've done girls sports on a college level, and I'll tell you, girls basketball is a lot more physical than boys basketball. The girls, when they're out there competing, man, they're competing for real, aren't they?
Pretty serious.
Oh, yeah.
They are, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you see it in those, one thing, like Scott's got in the kid karts, it's real neat. I mean, to see these kids at 5, 6 years old, yeah, they have them all restricted, but just to me, how they listen too. I mean, you know, they got to be in line, they got to be, you know, side by side, and you'd be surprised. You think, oh, there's a bunch of kids that are going to be all over the place, and that they're pretty good for and listening and keeping in line. And I mean, it's pretty neat to see them. And then one. In the kids class, it seems like it doesn't matter if they. I mean, there's some of them that, you know, it's all about winning, but they're just happy to be out there. They're all excited after the race.
Probably one of the neatest things is to see the parents are a different story, but
That's why I said the kids.
To see the kids after the race, they'll be out there competing just, you know, as hard as they can. They'll come off the racetrack and then they'll play catch with a football.
Yeah, and they'll be happy. And their parents might not be. Their parents are standing there yelling at Scott about, you know, something. I could probably go on 30 things right now, and he'd say, yep, they complained about that. Yep, they complained about it. But they've done this before.
No doubt about that.
Absolutely.
Hey, tell us what times everything gets started this weekend?
Basically, as far as on the spectator side of things, we're starting practice at 1 p.m. on Saturday, which is, you know, the Eden Days parade is about that same time. But we actually qualify for this race, but it's group qualifying, so it's not just watching that track and figuring that out is a really neat thing. You know, we've got full concessions out there. Our spectator passes are the same they've been for 19 years, $5. So truly, you can bring your family out and enjoy the racing.
Yep.
And
you can even sit in a lawn chair if you want. They got stands, but there's lawn chairs.
You're welcome to bring your own food and beverage with you if you want to. We don't make you buy anything.
Isn't that amazing? Now, the one thing we always do question here on the throttle is what kind of food do you have? Because obviously between me and Dwayne, we don't look like a couple of guys that have missed a meal ever. Okay, so is the concession stand a pretty good one there?
It is good.
Okay.
We've got a full line of, we have bratwurst and cheeseburgers and chicken, shredded chicken, and all the nachos with cheese and pretzels and
yeah, there we go. Now we're
Sorry.
talking.
You'll
you'll be good. You'll be good. No worries.
I'm not much of a racer, but I'm a darn good eater. How's that? Huh?
I think we can probably take good care of you.
That is amazing. Some of the folks that are coming with that many entrants, there's got to be a few that when you look at the entry forms coming back, that you say, you know what? Oh, this might be one of the favorites. This is a pretty good team over here. Maybe some names that we could drop here this afternoon.
Well, dropping names in kart racing is probably never a good thing because at any given day,
sure.
I mean, literally any given day, anybody can win that race.
I think you'll be surprised at maybe some people with Attica and Fremont not racing this week. The sprint cars. I think I know a few guys that grew up in karts for 4,000 to wins planning on coming over.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be Gressman's will be over. Phil Schneider's won it the last 2 years, so there's kind of a bullseye on his back.
Okay.
You know, and actually the first year he did real well. Also didn't win it, but did well. With racers coming literally from all over the country that have never, some that have never been to the track, but what they do is kind of call them money chasers. They go to go-kart money races all over the country.
Sure.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yep.
You never know. That's why you need to come out and see.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you who's
That's
going
why
to
you got to buy a $5 ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $5, Jim.
Yeah.
You
I mean, $5 you can't beat.
Would you come out if I gave you the $5?
That's terrible.
You got to buy your own cheeseburger, but I'll give you the $5.
There you go.
I'll even kick $1 in, you know.
We're down to 4. This is working out really well. I might have to come over there for $5, man. That would be worth some time to go over and see what's going on because that's really, this sounds like a fun afternoon. Anybody listening right now that doesn't know where we're at right now, Scott, give folks kind of a direction and a feel for where the track's at.
Okay, if you're in beautiful downtown Eden, Ohio at the stoplight, you go west on State Route 34,
Okay.
2 miles to the state line, then turn south and go a half mile. As soon as you go over the railroad tracks, you'll be at the racetrack.
If you, for people like you, south is to the left.
To the left?
Yeah.
No, the other left.
Thank goodness on my car I got one of those little things that tells me where I'm heading. Now, that doesn't mean I won't take 2 or 3 tries at it before I get it right.
Well, if you put in 9430
Yeah.
County Road 1,
Okay. All right.
it will take you right
It'll
there.
Take me right there.
Yeah.
Plenty of parking for everybody, and also Dwayne said something about camping, so you can also bring a trailer or a camper with you.
Yeah, we can probably accommodate some over in the spectator area.
Yeah.
We've actually, for this particular race, we actually use 20 some acres of hayfield for pits because otherwise there would not be enough space to park everyone.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. And crowd, normally, how big of a crowd do you get to watch these races?
You know, a lot of people go in the pits.
Yeah.
Because they want to interact with the racers. Pit passes are $20.
Sure.
Still a good investment. I mean, it really is. You can, most of the racers are super friendly, and you can just really find out what's going on and get a little bit more education. I don't know. I think last year we probably put 800 or 1,000 people in. I expect more than that this year.
Yeah. It sounds like a fun afternoon. We'll work on the weather. Everything I've seen, the weather's going to be good for you. And we've got a little tie-in with the guy upstairs with the weather. Okay?
Yeah.
Scott, for you. Me
awesome.
and Dwayne do. So we'll give him a call. Anybody comes on the throttle, we normally try to put a good word into to the weather guy upstairs to get
That's
you
right.
a good afternoon for some weather. But right now, it just looks like it's going to be ideal.
We're just
8 degrees roughly and sunny.
Yep.
How's that?
Well, last year it was well over 100 degrees, and we still had 333 entries. So I think if we can get in the 70s,
Yeah.
There you go.
I think we'll be good.
That'll make for some great racing.
That's
You
right.
talked about the way the track changes, the weather. I would have to think heat and all does change the way that track drives as well.
It
yeah.
does, and actually I started prepping the racetrack with water last night, so I'll be watering the racetrack all week to prepare for this many go-karts. This is not a normal amount of go-karts. that any racetrack, any dirt track could hold up to unless it's properly prepared. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, do you race all summer then too? I know this is the big feature race for the year, but do you race every weekend, or what's your schedule?
Actually, we used to race a lot of races per year, probably 20-some races a year for the go-karts.
Okay.
We're only racing 5 or 6 a year right now.
Sure.
I'm looking for someone young and ambitious to come in and you know.
There you go, Jim.
There
you
you
get
go.
another job.
Yeah.
There's another job opportunity for you.
Hey, I can throw it on the other 3 that I've got right now, and I've got plenty of time. That's not a problem.
Perfect.
The young part's a little difficult. The ambitious part's there still, but the young ain't quite as young as what it used to be, Scott. You know what I mean?
Understood.
It's just that way. All right. Well, this Saturday again, let's go over all the details. $5 to get in the door. Okay.
Correct.
Doors open at what time?
We're open at 8 o'clock in the morning, but if you're a spectator, you know, you're gonna, if you want to come for qualifying, 3 o'clock.
Sure.
Racing action is probably gonna start around 6.
Around 6.
Yep.
Okay. And plenty of concessions. Pit passes are $20.
Yep.
And that sounds like a fun place to be too. And the competition is going to be spectacular, as it always.
It's gonna be amazing. I mean, you can't go really anywhere. I mean, it's hard to go anywhere and see the type of competition and. You know, I mean, we're 3 and 4 wide.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't follow the leader.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Well, and the main event, there'll be guys that miss the main event that's probably won 10 features throughout the year at other places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's some serious racing going
Yeah.
over outside of Eden this weekend, and we hope everybody that's listening right now goes over and at least throws that $5 down and goes out and watches the race. And 20 to be in the pits. Again, a heck of a bargain. Food will be great. Racing will be great. So, Scott, thanks for stopping by today. We really
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah, no problem. Great racing, and come back and see us. And don't forget where we are every Monday at this time on the queue. How's that?
Sounds great. Thank you.
On the throttle here today, and we're going to talk to Larry Souls when we come back after this timeout. We'll talk a little motorcycle racing here as we continue on a Monday afternoon.
Customs is Northwest Ohio's
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to stick around and listen.
Yeah,
to
There you go.
I got no place I got to be.
We're gonna just drill
Well, I do, but I don't want to go.
That's right.
And back here on the throttle, brought to you by Live Auto Parts by Suburban Auto, AJ Door, Brian Ford, Jason Dietz Customs Collisions, Trailers and Trailer Repair, Fast Forward Motorsports, and Snyder Land Clearing. And with us right now, Dwayne is another person that kind of stumbled in off the streets here for us today. He only races with 2 wheels. Now,
That's
I race
right.
with 2 wheels, but that's because 2 of them are up in the air all the time as I'm about to flip over on the top.
I thought that was when you fell off the couch. You fell off your 2 wheels. But yeah, I talked to Larry a long time ago. We was actually judges at Ford County for a contest, and he was telling me about this motorcycle deal. We got Larry Souls from Souls Motorsports, and he's actually promoting bringing racing back to the Williams County Fairground. It's been since 1980 that they've had a motorcycle race at the Williams County Fairground. And Larry, I mean, I tell you, I commend you for doing it because obviously, you know, I'm a race nut no matter if it's go-karts, motorcycles, sprint cars or what. But it's nice to have, you know, something back at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, we've been trying to do this for a while. The fair board came to us, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and they were talking like they wanted to have something different to happen at Williams County Fair. And they talked about motocross and stuff, and I said that's a lot of work to bring in a lot of dirt. And I said we have a beautiful track right here. Let's try and utilize that. And I've got a pack of about 10 of my buddies here that we've been flat track racing over the years. And the fair board has been very gracious to us and let us practice there. We've had a few Sunday races or practices there, and we did an exhibition race a couple years ago just to try it and just to give them a taste and show what it would be like. And we had quite a few people that were upset because we didn't advertise it at all, or really, and they missed out on it. So this time, they've given us the opportunity, and we're going to try and make this happen. And I'm hoping to get about 100 riders out there. I've been to Ashland. We raced at Ashland earlier in July, my son and I. And had a really good turnout there. There was 125 riders there, and we passed out a lot of flyers at that race and got a good feedback for it. And then we raced at Wauseon, which is a national. That was a couple weeks ago. If anybody made it to that, it was an awesome show in our neighborhood here. And they'll pack Fulton County Fairgrounds, and I think that can happen at Williams County, and I want to see it happen. And so, this is our first year, and we want to get a lot of people out there and see what happens.
So what's the date for this one, Larry?
This is September 16th. Okay. It's the last Saturday of the fair. It's going to be it's trying to follow up the Derby.
Those guys going to get parts all over the track.
Right. And
make extra work for Larry.
Yeah, and Dwayne, I expect you to stay awfully late and early in the morning to pick up all your parts from the Derby, please.
Yeah. Well, I was cleaning some of the stuff up off the car yesterday, and I was thinking about that. I was like, man, we got to get all this plastic, all these trim off here. And I even mentioned that, I said, I can't believe that the fair board's doing it after the Derby.
I was hoping
before the Derby.
Derby would be great. Yeah, before, but I think we can get it. I know we got a lot of people. I think we got a lot of help from the fair board, it sounds like. I've got a group of guys coming up to help us from Triangle Motorsports. They're down by Harpster. They're coming up to help us out and with flagging and everything else. And hopefully we can get it. At least drug all the crud off there.
Well, and I know there's a lot of people that race motorcycles in this area between vintage and enduros and different things, and I've talked to a lot of them. They're all kind of excited about it, and Chris Whittick, he's been running some stuff, and
Chris is a big helper. He's going to be there helping us.
He's even asked me, he goes, he says, you want to ride a bike that night? And I I don't think Larry's insurance is big enough for me to ride a bike, because I'm sure my mom's listening. As she always says, my foot don't work with my brain, or that'd be my hand, my throttle hand night don't work with my brain real well. So I'd probably end up like in the horse barn or something.
You'll be fine. And we're we'll have about 20 some classes, 20, depending on who shows up. I mean, that's the nice thing about flat track is we'll make a class up for pretty much anybody that shows up. So everywhere from the 50 cc's, the little guys and girls, and all the way up to the senior class, and hopefully we can get some fast guys out there and make the track look
and that's
something interesting.
And that's the thing, just like Scott said earlier, there's a lot of kids running these 50 cc's and stuff coming up too, and it's great that you're involved in them, because I mean it seems like just like that, if dad's running a bike or mom or whatever, here comes the son or daughter wanting to run in the small class. I'm sure you'll see a lot of that day too.
Oh, it's great. It's a family event. I mean, we've had a great summer. My boys and I, we've been out riding together. My son and I have had a grudge match for the what actually started last year at Wauseon. He beat me by I beat him by a foot last year at Wauseon.
See how that changed.
Yeah. Last year I beat him by a foot on the last lap at Wauseon. So this year, for some reason, I've gotten a little heavier and older, and he's getting a lot better every time we go out. And so it's been a fun grudge match between the two of us. He's beat me twice this summer at Ashland and at Wauseon at the Nationals. And then but yesterday we raced down at Harpster. We did a TT half mile, which is you're running like a half mile, but then we out of turn 4, instead of hitting the straightaway, we would cut a hard left and then a right and then hit a jump and then come back out on the track. It was something we had never done before, and we had a good time. And I put two wins on him yesterday. So now I'm back ahead. So he's claiming that Montpelier is going to be the tiebreaker on this. So
there you go.
He's 17 and he's been riding since he was 2, and we've had a lot of fun. Riding all summer together. So.
And how long have you been racing right now?
My racing, I started off, I did everything backwards. I used to road race, and then thought I would get in shape and do some motocross. And we used to race at Delta every Saturday night. And then for some reason, about 17 years ago, I had to take a break on that. And about the same age as my son. Yeah, it's amazing how that takes over. So I took a little bit of a break, and then we got back into flat track racing. I bought some bikes from Ken Whitman, was from Stryker. They're a great guy, and he had a bunch of some old flat track bikes, and we started doing some ice racing and flat tracking, and we've really enjoyed it, and we've had a good time.
Well, and that's another thing. If you've never seen motorcycle races, flat track, you're talking guys running side by side. Now we're talking on 2 wheels instead of 4. Sure. And there's that and a hay bale between you and the wall going. I mean, they'll reach speeds of
we'll hit 85, 90 mile an hour or more down the straightaways there.
Yeah. And I mean, it's neat. I mean, these guys just throw them in the corner side by side, and you're drifting out there on 2 wheels going, 80 down the straight, going in the corner, backing off a little bit.
We have brakes, but they don't work so well. I mean, there's very little brakes there. So, but it's
there's just your legs and your arms in between you and the next guy, pretty much. So if something, and here's another thing too. The injury rate, you don't see a whole lot of that. I mean, in motorcycle, you do some. I mean, if there's a wreck, but I mean, it's fairly safe.
The bikes and stuff have become pretty safe. Yeah, I mean, we've had we've had a few injuries, but I mean, most of the time it's been very, the tracks have been very safe, and we try and keep things to a dull roar. But yet, I mean, it's good racing, but it's been really safe here the last few years.
Well, and I think one thing we was talking before is kind of why you've waited a little bit to do it fair. So they got a fence all the way around the track too. For safety. I mean, you. Our
biggest concern with really not pushing for a full blown race is because without having that safety barrier all the way around, was just a crazy liability, and we've got that fence now, and it just makes the fair a much nicer place. It looks really great. They can control the crowds and stuff a lot better there. So it's been a really nice improvement to the fairgrounds at Williams County.
Yeah, and it makes you add races like this, so it'll be good. And I tell you, it's I've been to a few motorcycle races, and it's amazing. You just sit there, and I think it's going to be great for the fair. I mean, that place has needed something added to it to bring it back to life. I mean, the Derby's kind of carried it for a long time, and I think adding this bike race, I mean, first year, hopefully people get to know about it and get out there, but hopefully it's just something that can grow into a big thing.
Yep, September 16th. I hope we get a big crowd.
Yeah, I think so too. And as we've said already, when Scott was with us right now, we do every Monday at this time. Racing's big around here, so you give folks a chance to go out and watch somebody go around the circle and go faster and faster and faster. Guys like us end up out there watching.
Well, and we have, and believe it or not, we actually have listeners.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe. Wow. I mean, it's hard to believe.
It's hard to imagine.
and it's funny that I get to some of these places and there'll be people coming up and like, man, we didn't know this was even going on until we heard it on the show.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's what hopefully with these 2 events with Scott's this weekend and Larry's here September 16th. Hopefully there's a lot of people listening that's marking both those events down on their calendar for here, and I think there will be because I've been Larry gave me some flyers and I've been passing some out and trying to help him out a little bit because I just love racing, and something 10 miles from the house is real nice, and just like with Scott's deal. And I've had a lot of feedback from the people. It's like, oh wow, they have motorcycle races up there. Like, man, that's awesome. So and hopefully people that say that will go buy a ticket and sit there and find out.
Sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, a ticket, obviously, you need a separate ticket from the fair. You get into the fair, and then you pay at the gate.
Right.
Yeah,
I think we're going to shoot for around a $10 in the grandstand ticket here. Try and make it real reasonable to get in there. We'll have pit passes for 20. We're going to try and get some T-shirts around, and for the event. Practice will start. We're shooting for noon. Usually noon, 1 o'clock. We'll get some practice laps in through the classes. And then we'll hit some heat races, and then we'll have the main events, into the evening here. 6, 7 o'clock, we'll have to take a little break there for the sun. Coming out of turn 3 and turn 4, that sun starts setting there in the west, and it gets a little. We got to take a break there because you can't see anything. So we always try safety. So that's what we want.
And that's your heats and main events. I mean, some people will just come for that. You think in the late afternoon then?
Late afternoon, yeah, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Yep.
We'll try and stretch that out there and make an evening event, and the track will be so much better too. Like
right.
Scott was saying, we're on pea gravel, limestone. It's an amazing track. Great cushion. We've had a lot of people out. We've had people from. We've had little practices, and we just had open invitations I had passed out over the last couple of years, and I've had people from all the way over by Chicago to Cleveland show up on a Sunday afternoon just to cut some laps, and hopefully we didn't upset too many of the Montpelier people on a Sunday afternoon. But
that'd be all right.
We try to be cordial, get along with everybody, and over the years, the horse people and stuff. I think we try to work with them. We try to keep the track and leave the track nicer than when we get there. So, but we appreciate the fair board working with us over the years.
Well, and the track, like you're saying, it'll change during the day, and that's why I've noticed that you guys run a lot of practice. Well, and like I said, you're going to have a lot of classes too. So it's some people's like, well, do I got to be there at noon? No, because the main events are like I said,
later
6
on.
o'clock, and you don't have to be there all day for practice to watch. But it's neat to see some of these practice deals and how different the track changes and just different people. Like I said, I doubt if any of the riders has ever been there. I probably ain't gonna have anybody that raced there in 1980, so this is gonna be new for everybody.
Actually, Bob Gray will be there.
Okay.
Bob raced there back in the 80s there, and a couple of them. But yeah, he's gonna come out of retirement and run with us
That'd
that
be cool.
weekend. So local favorite there, Bob. And but it has been quite a while since we've had a race there. So
And I think just the grudge match between the two souls.
that should be worth it right there. Yes,
I would think so. Now,
I'll bet that was a sight.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. As the turkeys ran out in front of me and the kid behind me, and we ditched that thing in the ditch. And by the time we were done, the steering wheel was kind of like this. And the were all broken and made for a real wet cruise the rest of the way. If you get my drift.
I'll bet.
Painkiller.
Yeah, you had to medicate. Yes.
Yeah,
there you go.
Because I was injured at that
Right.
point in time, so I had to go do that. But it probably would not. I'd be better on 4 wheels to get you in that grudge match than 2, I think. 'Cause 2, I'd go right and I'd miss the turn and into the fence, and that'd be the night. It'd be Cozumel, Mexico. All the way. It would not be a good thing. Well, that's good, Larry. I tell you, I'm looking forward to it. Though September the 16th is coming up. And anybody listening to us maybe right now that knows somebody or wants to be part of this, can they?
Yeah, get a hold of us. You can get a hold of us at the shop at Souls Motorsports, or you can get a hold of us. Get a hold of Fairboard and email them and let them know. But yeah, we're gonna have. We'd love to have somebody come out and give it a shot. Or
Dwayne would be a good one.
I think Dwayne is good.
Got a good situation right there, and I'm not sure Scott's still here. So Scott, are you a 2-wheel racer at all? No.
Well, you should.
I only have one question. If I'm going to do this, do you have Life Flight on standby?
Well, the med barn's right there.
Yeah, that's true.
And the hospital's next door, so we'll be good.
That's right.
There you go. That'll work out just fine.
Yeah,
just fine.
That'll be all right. I mean, you only live once. What the heck?
That's it,
I mean,
man. Flat track racing coming up at the Williams County Fairgrounds on September 16th. This won't be the last time that we talk about that. And also don't forget the Midwest Race of Champions this weekend at the State Line Racetrack over by Eden. And you'll want to get over and see both of those. We thank Scott Longenbach and also Larry Souls for being our guests here today. And when we come back after this commercial break, we're going to talk a little bit of what happened around the area and how Dwayne Hancock got into so much trouble over the weekend.
Well, that's right. And they're both affordable events. That's one thing,
That's the neat thing. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, you can go out, take the family out there, and not wreck your budget.
Exactly.
That's for sure, and enjoy yourself. All right, it's about 15 before 1 o'clock. We'll be right back after this.